Ladies and gentlemen, rock found on Mars could be evidence of ancient life, NASA says. This is huge.
A year ago, we thought we found what we believe to be signs of microbial life on the Mars surface. And so we put it out to our scientific friends to pressure test it, to analyze it, and go, did we get this right? Do we think this is signs of ancient life on Mars?
Do you understand what kind of implications this has for theology, for God, for science, right? To understand our origins. We're going to get to that in a minute.
And after a year of review, they've come back and they said, listen, we can't find another explanation. So this very well could be the clearest sign of life that we've ever found on Mars.
Mic drop. That right there is like holy shit moment. Honestly, that's holy shit moment. This is a big deal. Now, I know there's some people out there, there's some conspiracists, if you will, saying all sorts of stuff. NASA, don't trust it, moon landing, all this stuff. Put that aside. We got a rover right now on Mars, but we're going to look at that video too, just to kind of show you some of that stuff too. But if this is true, this is huge.
Which is incredibly exciting.
Today, we are really showing you how we are kind of one step closer to answering humanity's one of their most profound questions.
It is one of the most profound questions, because if life is on Mars, or was at some distant past, some form of life, how did it get here?
And that is, are we truly alone in the universe? So last July, NASA's Perseverance rover found a leopard-spotted rock.
Which exact rock is it? I mean, maybe it's showing the whole thing and there's a bunch of them inside this rock right here.
And scientists immediately knew. It was interesting. We hadn't seen anything like that before on Mars.
What?
And we talked about it last summer. The moment we found it, we put out the images for everybody to see and everybody to share. And so they've done the analysis on these leopard spots.
This is looking cool.
And we think they are potentially made by some sort of ancient life. It's a signature. It's a sort of leftover.
That's crazy that they're saying this, right?
Over sign. It's not life itself. And it certainly could have been from ancient life, and that would have been something that was there billions of years ago. Nothing that's current there. And, it could certainly, as we say, be made by ancient life. And what that means is we look at everything we know about life on Earth. And this is the kind of signature that we would see that was made by something biological.
Dude, think about what just was said, right? A naturalist like me who thinks somehow life should be explained through natural causes, somehow abiogenesis, right? This is a huge... I hope you see where this is going.
In this case, it's kind of the equivalent of seeing like leftover fossils, leftovers from a meal.
Right.
And maybe that meal's been excreted by a microbe. And that's what we're seeing in this sample.
I'll be providing some overall geologic context for the discovery of these leopard spot features. The Perseverance rover
What are we looking at? Is this the crater on Mars or something?
Jezero crater in 2021. Jezero was selected because it's in a location amongst
They could have done better with their audio here. Let's be real.
Ancient terrains on Mars, exposing some of the oldest rocks anywhere in the solar system. And these really ancient rocks provide us a window into a period of time that's not particularly well represented on our own planet Earth. But it's a time when life was emergent on Earth and could have been on Mars as well.
That's crazy. Life could have been on both planets.
We can see a bright angel through the eyes of Perseverance. The rover spent several months exploring this area, ultimately pushing to the northern edge of the channel where the bright angel formation met the margin unit. And it's here at the contact, this edge of the river valley, that the rover explored a special target called Chayava Falls. In order to really understand what makes this particular outcrop so special, we have to get our noses to the outcrop, or in this case, the rover's arm, up close and personal to take a look at all the details of these rocks.
What you're looking at here
So this is a riverbed. An old riverbed with rocks at the bottom, which would have been the best place, I imagine. You know, they do think life originated somehow in the context, or at least thrived somehow in the context of water. So without water, the ancient Greek philosopher Thales was onto something. And I saw a debate where Richard Carrier was debating Muslims back in like 2002, 2003. And they were like, it's a miracle. The Quran says that life come out of water. And Richard Carrier calmly and correctly goes, Thales over 1,000 years ago said the same thing, and he was a Greek philosopher, therefore God? Like, it's not a gotcha.
The belief in science has relative strength. It's not the strength that it's fluctuating. Look at the Quran. Why do we believe in the Quran? Look at what the Quran says in chapter 21, verse number 30. Mr. Carey, you may want to write that down. Quran says, أَوَلَمْ يَرَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَنَّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ كَانَتَا رَتْقًا فَفَتَقْنَاهُمَا وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ أَفَلَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. Do the disbelievers not see that the earth and sky was once one and we opened it? And we made everything living out of water. That's a biological fact today, which is a recent discovery that all life originates as a precursor is water. That you see even those space probes that are going into Mars are probing for the existence of water. Who could say that 1,400 years ago? That's the evidence.
Actually, someone did say that 2,500 years ago. His name was Thales. He argued that all life originated from water. This belief was a cosmological view in ancient Greece. It wasn't commonly held, but it was certainly advocated. So I don't see if Thales isn't a prophet.
No, it doesn't matter. If he said it, why didn't science take it today?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Kind of seems like common sense. You would imagine, especially even life on Earth needs water to survive.
A selfie that Perseverance took of itself in front of the Chayaba Falls workspace in the Bright Angel Formation. And what we saw in this rock were these layers of very fine-grained, rusty red mudstone. These textural features told us that something really interesting had happened in these rocks. Some set of chemical reactions occurred. What you can see here is a set of spectra that are called Raman spectra. And there's a lot of information on these graphs, but the key thing to take note of is the fact that what we see in these spectra is something called a G-band, and that's pointed out on the image. Huh. The G-band for us is a smoking gun indicator for the presence of organic matter in this mud. Here what you can see is the chemistry of the surface of this rock rendered in three colors, red, green, and blue. And the mixing between colors is telling us something about where elements are present together. And what's exciting about these finds, this sort of combination of mud and organic matter that has reacted to produce these minerals and these textures, is that when we see features like this in sediment on Earth, these minerals are often the byproduct of microbial metabolisms that are consuming organic matter and making these minerals as a result of those reactions.
So we can look to life on Earth. If I understand this scientist correctly, you can look to examples of organic life on Earth being consumed by these microbial organisms as kind of life substances, something that is giving way to what we see here on the planet. I could be wrong. He's obviously far more technical here, but this has huge implications.
So what we need to do from here is to continue to do additional research in laboratory settings here on Earth, and ultimately bring the sample that we collected from this rock back home to Earth so that we can make the final determination for what process actually gave rise to these fantastic textures.
Dude, that's huge. That's really huge. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here's the history of Mars. Water flows in ancient Neretta Vallis. They made an animation. Okay. Pretty wild, pretty wild. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Hey, we could see here too at nature.com, redox-driven mineral and organic associations and Jezero crater, Mars. This is obviously above my head. I'd have to really dissect this and try to absorb everything that they're saying here. There's evidence here. You've got other articles for polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons detected in sulfates. Evidence of a composite volcano. There's another thing. There's all sorts of cool stuff that needs to be checked out here. But the inorganic, so organic, potential organic and inorganic biosignatures, there's a lot of important things that seems like we're at the cusp of figuring out. And, you know, God of the gaps, right? We always place God in that unknown area. Hey, check this out. Here we go. Again, this image looks a little bit better. So they're showing some of this stuff that really is raising red flags that some organic or inorganic materials going on. I can't wait for us to figure out, get a sample, bring it back, and be absolutely conclusive about this, because if this from Mars does have life, well, we have some implications here we need to work out. And the one thing I want to leave with you, ladies and gentlemen, is this. I've been always trying to find what is the most likely cause. Scooby-Doo, the demon, the ghost, the monster, there's this creepy thing, there's this otherworldly phantom, you name it, the ancestor spirit, whatever it is, it's always something. That's the answer usually people like to go with. And I tend to go, now, I'm like, no, what's the most probable based on what we experience and see on a day-to-day basis? And we should measure and do that kind of observation. A scientific observation that can try to look and go, let's work backwards. From what we see now, let's work backwards. What has been said on the abiogenesis argument and still gets on, oh, look how intelligent life is. Look at how difficult and complex it is. It's been thriving on this planet for hundreds and hundreds of millions of years. Of course it's going to be complex. There's no telling what kind of organisms, cells, bacteria, or whatnot, how not complex they may have been originally. Who knows? The point is this. How does life come from non-life? This is such a huge problem for theists that they need a God to answer the question, whereas I don't need to posit that. I can actually say, yeah, we haven't figured that out. We just don't know for sure. But what does Mars tell us about Earth? And what does Mars tell us about the origin of human life, or really life, period, that evolved to where we are as humans? And for me, it tells me this. If life arisen on Mars without needing to jump to this God conclusion, other planets naturally, organically developed life, then somehow, shape or form, life began there, which would then lead us to go, why are we saying God created life? All they will do next, once we solidify, let's say we conclusively prove that this is life on Mars, they'll just push God to a whole nother thing. Oh, God made life on all planets. That planet just went extinct at some point billions of years ago, the life there, or it didn't get kicked off. So they still want to need God. And you kind of ask yourself, when do you finally go, maybe God's a construct of our imagination? Maybe God is something humans project. Do animals actually believe in a God, or believe there must be gods? You know, that idea that there must be a maker, a creator that brought this universe into existence, galaxy, everything that exists, or life itself, that's something that I think is slowly, gradually, constantly being falsified and less likely, unnecessary. The unnecessary hypothesis. That's what we're finding. So for life now, we may end up getting to a point where it's so obvious that life rose there. What's the next explanation? Well, aliens must have brought life to Mars, or God also made that life. And it's like, sounds more like you're desperately needing God in order to explain things in the world because of your experience, your conscious experience, rather than just what seems to be the obvious. And that obvious to me is that we're humans, we're animals, we evolved here, and we have viewed the world in such a manner that we think there must be something that made all this. You could still value all of this and have such great deep meaning. It gets into all sorts of the questions, but what are your thoughts? Do you think we're going to find out that this is some organic life of some sort that went extinct? And if so, do you draw what conclusions I'm drawing here? What are your thoughts? It's crazy, fam.